What if I told you that the ability to attract anyone, friends, opportunities, even love, doesn't come from your looks, your money, or your status, but from something invisible that lives inside you? In a world full of noise, the real secret to being instantly magnetic is not about being the loudest in the room, but about carrying a silent force that draws people in without you even trying. In today's video, you're about to discover the truth behind what makes people lean in when you speak, feel safe in your presence, and trust you without knowing why. We're diving deep into the 6 hidden traits that go beyond charisma. They build connection, influence, and real human gravity. If you've ever felt overlooked, dismissed, or like you're not being seen for your true potential, stay with me, because what you're about to hear has the power to rewire how you show up in every room you walk into. This isn't just about being liked, it's about becoming undeniable. So take a deep breath, lean in, and listen closely, because the moment you begin to embody these habits, everything in your life starts to shift. In a world obsessed with looking perfect, acting flawless, and saying all the right things, it's easy to believe that we need to become someone else to attract others. But the truth is, people are not looking for perfection. They are looking for clarity. Clarity is what creates confidence. And confidence, not perfection, is what truly draws others toward us. When someone knows who they are, what they stand for, and why they show up the way they do, that certainty becomes magnetic. You don't need the best outfit, the best pitch, or the perfect smile to be attractive. You need alignment between what you believe and how you behave. When people feel that, they stop questioning your intentions and start trusting your presence. The reality is, most people walk around unsure of themselves, second, guessing their words and actions, adjusting constantly to please others. But the ones who stand out, the ones we remember, are those who walk into a room with quiet conviction. They don't need to take over the space or dominate the conversation. Their clarity speaks before they say a word. You feel it. They know who they are. That doesn't mean they never make mistakes or doubt themselves. It means that even in their vulnerability, they remain anchored to their identity. And that inner anchoring gives them a natural confidence that can't be faked. We live in a noisy world full of performance, but clarity cuts through the noise. It doesn't need applause. It doesn't chase approval. It simply exists, and people notice. It's the person who speaks less but means more. It's the leader who listens deeply, responds calmly, and makes decisions that reflect values, not just metrics. It's the friend who doesn't try to fit in, but ends up being the most respected in the room. When you stop trying to be perfect and start being clear about your purpose, your values, and your energy, you begin to attract the right kind of attention, the kind that builds trust, not just admiration, the kind that lasts, not just impresses, because clarity creates space, and in that space, others can find themselves too. Authenticity is one of the most irresistible forces a person can radiate. It's not about being loud or overly expressive, it's about being unapologetically true to who you are, even when it's uncomfortable. In a society trained to wear masks and mimic success, authenticity feels like a breath of fresh air. People are drawn to those who are real because it gives them permission to be real too. It's rare, it's courageous, and most of all it's disarming. When you're authentic, people don't have to second, guess your motives or decode your words. They feel safe around you because you're not playing a game or selling an image. You're showing up as you, without the filter, without the fluff, and that kind of presence is powerful beyond measure. Being authentic doesn't mean saying whatever comes to mind or ignoring growth. It means owning your story, your flaws, your evolution, and not pretending to be ahead of where you actually are. People connect with progress, not perfection. When you speak from experience rather than ego, your words carry weight. When you admit what you don't know and lead with curiosity, your presence feels refreshing. In a world of curated posts, filtered faces, and shallow conversations, being deeply real makes you unforgettable. The ones who are most attractive don't chase attention. They attract it through honesty, humility, and bold self-awareness. It's not about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the most grounded. The truth is, authenticity isn't always comfortable. It can mean being misunderstood, rejected, or criticized for standing out. But the people who are worth attracting, those who value depth, courage, and truth will find their way to you because of that honesty, not in spite of it. And when they do, those connections will be rooted in something real. You'll no longer need to perform or exhaust yourself trying to maintain a persona. You'll just be, and that will be enough. There's nothing more attractive than a person who lives in alignment with their truth. Someone who doesn't need to impress others to feel worthy. Someone who knows that the greatest strength is not in pretending, but in standing firm in your own skin. Emotional intelligence is the invisible magnet that draws people in, often without them realizing why. It's the ability to understand, manage, and respond to emotions, both your own and others, with intention and empathy. In a world where people are quick to react and slow to listen, emotional intelligence sets you apart in a way that's instantly attractive. When someone feels heard, seen, and respected in your presence, they automatically feel safe. That safety is not just comforting, it's magnetic. People gravitate toward those who bring calm in chaos, who offer compassion in discomfort, and who don't escalate conflict but dissolve it through presence and poise. When you're emotionally intelligent, you become more than just someone people like. You become someone people trust. You listen not just to respond, but to understand. You notice subtle shifts in body language, tone, and energy, and you adjust without needing to be told. That level of attunement makes others feel valued, and when people feel valued, they remember it. They associate your presence with ease, connection, and clarity. That's how deep influence begins. It's not built through dominance or charm alone. It's built through consistent emotional presence. Emotional intelligence also means you can master your own impulses. You don't lash out when you're triggered, you don't seek validation when you feel insecure, and you don't let pride lead in moments that require vulnerability. That self-awareness, that self-regulation makes you a leader without a title. People don't just admire your calm, they begin to model it. In conversations, in conflict, in decision-making, your emotional intelligence shows up like a lighthouse in fog. It doesn't shout, but it guides. And perhaps the most compelling part is that emotional intelligence makes people feel seen. You don't just communicate facts, you communicate feelings. You respond to the emotion underneath the words, which creates an invisible bridge of connection that logic alone cannot build. And when someone feels emotionally met, something profound happens. They let down their guard. In that space of openness, trust is born. And in that trust, attraction, whether personal, professional, or even spiritual, has room to grow naturally, deeply, and fast. Emotional intelligence doesn't just attract attention, it attracts alignment, and in that alignment, real connection lives. Confidence that's rooted in humility is magnetic in a way that ego can never replicate. It's not loud, it doesn't brag, and it never seeks approval to justify its presence. Instead, it shows up quietly, steadily, with the kind of self-assurance that makes people lean in, not because they're being impressed, but because they're being inspired. When someone knows their worth without needing to shout it, when they walk into a room and make others feel more significant rather than smaller, that's when confidence becomes irresistible. It's not about dominating energy, it's about grounded energy. It's about someone who doesn't feel the need to compete because they're already clear on who they are. This type of confidence doesn't demand attention, it earns respect. It's built not on appearance or performance, but on character, values, and purpose. And people can sense it. There's a calmness that surrounds someone who is deeply aligned with their truth. They don't chase people, they attract them. They don't conform to gain approval, they lead by example. When they speak with clarity and conviction, not to prove a point but to serve a purpose, and that intentionality becomes magnetic because it's rare. Rooted confidence doesn't crumble when it's criticized. It listens, reflects, and chooses what to absorb. That resilience builds emotional gravity. Others start to orbit around it, not because they're being manipulated, but because they feel safe. In the presence of someone confidently humble, others feel free to be themselves, to rise without fear, to share without shame. That's powerful, because attraction is not just about beauty or charm, it's about how someone makes you feel in their presence. Do they inspire your growth or fuel your insecurities? Do they elevate your spirit or drain your energy? Humble confidence elevates the room. It doesn't center itself, it creates space. And that's why people keep coming back to it. Because in a world obsessed with noise and validation, someone who's quiet in their strength and loud in their integrity is unforgettable. They don't just stand out, they stand steady, and that steadiness gives others permission to rise with them. It's not about making people notice you. It's about making people feel more alive around you. That is the kind of energy that pulls others in, holds their respect, and leaves a lasting imprint without ever needing to demand it. Empathy is one of the most underappreciated forces when it comes to instantly attracting others. In a world where people are often more focused on being heard than listening, someone who truly sees and understands others stands out like a light in the dark. When you walk into a conversation not to respond, but to receive to understand what the other person is really saying, you create an emotional connection that most people spend their lives craving. Empathy isn't weakness, it's deep strength. It means your heart is tuned into more than your own frequency, and that rare ability creates safety, and safety is magnetic. People gravitate toward those who get them. It's not about having the right answers. It's about asking the questions that matter. It's about reading between the lines, seeing behind the mask, hearing what isn't being said, because sometimes people don't need solutions, they just need presence. They need someone who won't judge them or fix them, but will witness them, and that kind of witnessing, that kind of presence is unforgettable. It forms the root of trust, and trust is what drives true attraction, not fleeting interest, but deep connection. Empathy is about emotional intelligence. It's knowing when to speak and when to be silent, when to push and when to pause. It's understanding that everyone's fighting an invisible battle and treating them accordingly. It's responding not to behavior, but to the pain or need underneath it. That level of awareness doesn't just draw people in, it heals them, and we're drawn to those who help us feel more whole. You don't need to impress people with knowledge when you impress them with compassion. You don't need to dominate a room when your warmth naturally invites people in. Empathy doesn't scream, it listens, and in that silence, something powerful happens. People feel seen, and when they feel seen, they feel valued. And when they feel valued, they remember you not because you performed, but because you connected. To be deeply attractive, focus less on being interesting and more on being interested. Look at someone like they matter, because they do. Let your curiosity about others outweigh your need to be understood. That's the key. That's how empathy becomes your superpower. It doesn't chase, it draws in. It doesn't demand attention. It earns loyalty. Because real empathy builds real connection, and real connection is always irresistible. Confidence without arrogance is a magnetic force that silently commands attention. It doesn't need to announce itself, it doesn't scream to be noticed, and it never steps on others to rise. Real confidence is humble, it's rooted in self-awareness, not ego, and that's exactly why it's so attractive, because it signals emotional stability. When someone carries themselves with quiet certainty, people feel safe around them. They lean in, they trust, and they're drawn to that calm strength like a compass pointing north. This kind of confidence doesn't need to dominate a conversation or boast about success. It shows up in how you carry yourself, how you walk into a room, how you treat the people who have nothing to offer you. It shows up in your eye contact, your tone of voice, your ability to listen without interrupting, and your willingness to say, "I don't know," without feeling threatened. That's not weakness, it's power. It's the kind of power that doesn't rattle or shake when questioned, because it's built on something real. People are irresistibly drawn to those who don't seek validation from others to feel worthy. And that's the secret. When your self-worth isn't on trial in every interaction, you show up with more clarity, more presence, and more peace. You don't need to prove anything. You just asterisk our asterisk. And that quiet, "I know who I am" energy makes others want to know you too. This form of confidence makes room for others to shine. It encourages, uplifts, and respects. It doesn't feel diminished by someone else's light. It celebrates it. That creates emotional space where people feel seen and empowered, not belittled. And in a world full of insecurity masquerading as confidence, this difference stands out instantly. You don't need to talk louder, dress flashier, or fake it till you make it. You just need to own who you are, without apology or aggression. Confidence without arrogance is magnetic because it's rare. It's not about puffing your chest, it's about opening your heart. That kind of presence changes the atmosphere wherever you go. It makes people feel at ease. It makes them want to follow you, trust you, and be around you. Not because you asked for it, but because your energy invited it without a single word. At the heart of it all, becoming irresistibly attractive has nothing to do with surface level charm. It's about the quiet, powerful energy you carry. It's the way you listen when others speak. It's how you carry yourself with confidence, not arrogance. It's how you show consistency, empathy, and emotional depth. These are the real forces that draw people toward you, not because you're trying to impress, but because you're showing up as your full, authentic self. You become magnetic the moment you stop performing and start being. Because people don't connect with perfection. They connect with presence. They're drawn to honesty, humility, and a grounded spirit. When you master these hidden habits, attraction is no longer a game. It becomes a natural extension of who you are. Thank you for staying with me through this message. I hope it challenged you, encouraged you, and most importantly, reminded you of the quiet power you already hold inside. If this resonated with you, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who needs to hear it. You never know how your simple action can spark something powerful in someone else. Until next time, stay grounded, stay intentional, and keep becoming who you were always meant to be.